Alright then, hello everyone and welcome to the 6th round of the NEF1 Championship. We are back for yet another week of exciting racing action. This week we are taking to the streets of Jeddah for the fastest street circuit on the calendar, the second quickest circuit on the calendar overall, par only Monza in Italy, which we will be arriving at in a couple of weeks' time. But for now then, the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix is a race that always throws an exciting one into NEF1, where Matty Adams 16 might be able to pick up his first very good result of the season. He is one of the favourites heading into this race, as he always should be heading into Saudi Arabia. You can't look away from the current championship battle at the moment though, which is between Tess and Squidge, separated by only 2 points after 6 races. Squidge is on a phenomenal run of form, not without a podium yet this season. Will Saudi Arabia prove too much for him? He has challenged here previously. Will he be able to pull a second one in a row? We'll wait and see. To be the first time he does so in NEF1 after his kind of a shocking win last week out in Japan, where he took the win just coming over the line, basically around the final corner, as Tess had an issue at the end of the race that saw him fall down a position. Squidge then, with the first win of his season and properly now in the championship battle, and needs to be really considered for this championship fight as well. With the amazing run of form that he is on, he is definitely one of the contenders. Sam Obama, as you saw there, just retired early on. He is not going to be participating in qualifying after a previous penalty. We'll see him again for the Grand Prix that is come, but we have about 16 minutes now worth of qualifying action before we get to that stage. Squidge now is about to come across the line. I believe he might be first if Kit hasn't gone out there ahead of him. Yes, he has. So Kit W41 then will be first to cross line to start his flying lap. Back full-time racing for Haas, as he was previously last season out. Let's see what he's going to be able to do for his new outfit after a withdrawal last week out from a previous Haas driver. Left the seat open. Kit W41 then first to come onto a flying lap. Then we have Squidge, Spenclose and Run Speed behind them. Recon as well has started flying lap. We'll keep an eye on those lap times as start to drop in. That's a tricky first sector for Kit, who just manages to hold on. Spenclose and Squidge going through that very quick sector 1. This is the most technical circuit on the calendar that is confirmed. We have a mystery Grand Prix coming up, but more info on that will be revealed just as we start the stream. Squidge 2017, man, managing to cope nicely with sector 1 by the look of things, and with that very tricky sweeping left-handed hairpin coming in now to this sector where it is ever so crucial to maintain your speed. Squidge might just be able to squeeze a couple of kilometers an hour worth out of that car extra going through that right-left, almost a sweeping chicane. As he has his teammate right on his chuff a couple of seconds back. Splitting those two is Run Speed and Recon at the moment. Sitting happy in sector 3 now on the run down to the final braking zone and corner, where it all went wrong for Max Verstappen a couple of years ago in 2021 on his qualifying run that would have set an absolutely blistering pole position time, I'm sure. Squidge van comes across for a 128.530. That is a good time indeed. Next to across the line to set a competitive lap is going to be Recon. Fails to beat it by almost a second. Spenclose about to come across the line. Second fastest, very close to his teammate, just behind by 13 thousandths of a second. Tess now coming through sector 2. What is he going to be able to do in that Red Bull under pressure to have a good result? Matty takes provisional pole away from Squidge, 28.445, and that cements his place as a top runner in Saudi Arabia for this evening, I'm quite sure. Ipstu just coming across the line as well. We can confirm they're 130.342. Jace had a bad lap, 137.878. Wiggin has come across for 130.455. A little bit off the pace for Wiggin, who's had a difficult start to this season. That's a car in the wall. That is JV8 out of, I believe that's turn... Well, it's not turn 1. It's coming out of turn 4 and 5, I believe. And he's in a tricky situation now. He's got to get the car turned round, and he's going to be scaring a lot of people. Should be yellow flags in Sector 1. Keep that in mind. Yellow flags in Sector 1 as you're coming up to the scene. And that is a blistering time for Tess as it comes across for 128.058. That lap should set everyone scared. Half a second almost quicker Then second in line, Matty Adam, who is rapid around this circuit as well. Ron Speed's just about to come across the line as well. Can he challenge in that Haas? We'll wait and see. And he challenges, but not at the very top. 29.282 for the Haas driver. Let's see what Darren's going to be able to do. He's just coming across Sector 2 at the moment. Iwatts just entering Sector 2. Mr. Wilco just entering Sector 1. Noah and Kit both out on outlaps. Noah's just about to start a flying lap. His Ferrari compatriot gone for this week as well, and that could really put an emphasis on, or it could really put a almost dagger in the heart to Ferrari's championship challenge this season, because those Williams boys are just racking up points at the moment, leading the constructors by, I believe, what is 10 points, 128 points over Red Bull's 118, if I'm not mistaken, but it very well could be. We'll have a look at those standings in between qualifying and the race. Iwas then is coming up to the final corner in that Red Bull. Some disappointing history for that team at this very corner, but this time it worked out quite well. Iwas then down the run to the start-finish line. What is it going to be? It's going to be a 1:30.006. Good enough for the top 10 by a couple of tenths of a second worth over Ipsdude, but we expect maybe Noah Wilco to be able to challenge around those times. Kit will wait and see what it can squeeze out. It has a bit more of an unknown quantity. Noah has leveled it up a little bit in this season with a qualifying pace. Race pace, though, whilst the pace has been there, the consistency hasn't really been there every now and again. Really bouncing between really good results and really disappointing results. What's he going to be able to squeeze out of that Ferrari in Saudi Arabia? We'll wait and see. But it's going very, very strong through Sector 2. Looked confident heading into Sector 3 now as well. How late on the brakes can you be heading into that final turn 27? Looked quite late on the brakes. Almost a bit too late, maybe. Just locking up ever so slightly. That was nice and clean for Noah as he runs down to the line. And what is it going to be? It's going to be a 1:28.862. Good enough for the top 5. Comfortably ahead of BT by a couple of times. We have Djokovic, Ron Speed, Recon, and Iwatts filling in for that top, or filling in that top 10 just behind Noah. But for the time being, then we have Tess, Matty, Squidge, and Spencer in that order, from 1 to 4th place, or from 1st to 4th place. As Kit has left this session, we'll give him an invite in just a moment. As Darren then just starts another flying lap by the look of things. So then, there we go. A couple of people out on outlaps now, including Matty, Squidge, and Spenclose. Tess holding stationary in the pit lane at the moment. He's got a 4/10 advantage. Does he actually have to go out again? We don't yet know. Squidge 2017, then what is going to be his second run of this session. It's going to be the second worth of 3 runs, I'm quite sure, if he can nail this one. And he has to nail this one by a couple of attempts at least in order to get a bit closer to... Tess out front. This is now a championship battle between the two. We'll wait and see. Apparently something's been going on in the chat as well that I've completely missed. Dominic asks, any predictions for the qualifying and the race? Well, by the look of things, Tess might be running away with qualifying if he can carry that pace through the Grand Prix. Predict maybe the first landslide victory of the season. We'll wait and see. Matt is going to do everything he can to make sure that doesn't happen, but that pace from Tess is worryingly quick. Other predictions for the race: see if we maybe squeeze in a rare safety car in this league now, because we don't really have too many. Squidge is improving. He's improving by a lot as well. That is very, very necessary for this qualifying battle. What is Matty going to be able to do on this second run? Is track evolution have anything to do with this? We'll find out in just a moment as Matty's about to come across the sector split, and he is improving, not by a significant margin, but by a little bit indeed. And that sector 2 is probably where we can gain quite a bit of time. Did Squidge maybe make a mistake on the first run? Because he's now massively gone quicker than Tess by about 3.5 tenths of a second, and that is Squidge up in the provisional pole position. Now, emphasis on Tess to show that he can get up to that level of pace as well. Matty, what is he going to be able to do as he comes across the Sector 2 split in just a moment? This needs to be a couple of attempts up at least. It is up, but it's not massively up. We'll wait and see as Spenclose comes into the pit lane here at the end of his second run. Probably not a very successful one. We'll see him again one more time this session on Noah. Out on an out lap, BT out on a fast lap, and so is Djokovic, reigning champion. Bit of a difficult start to the season. Podium last week out in Japan, which has been a bit of a tricky circuit for him in the past. Could that be the turning point of this season? He's done well in Saudi Arabia previously. Let's hope he has a good result here. At the moment, he's sitting on a 129.170. So then, Djokovic around the final corner, little bit deep, doesn't quite hit that inside curb as you kind of want to in order to get as sweeping an approach as you possibly can, but it won't hinder him way too much, a couple of hundreds at most. Djokovic improves by almost 3 tenths of a second, doesn't gain any places by doing so, still 7th quickest, but looking at the drivers he has ahead of him, that's nothing to be ashamed of. BT is having an alright session up in 5th, in that Sauber, which does look glowing under the lights here in Saudi Arabia. It's an absolutely horrendous livery, but it looks good. We'll give it that. Tess has invalidated going through Sector 1 as well, so that's not going to be a very successful second run for him. See if he dives straight in or if he's going to give it another go. Where is Wigan as well? Currently sitting in P10 with a new lid design as well. Oh, that is Wigan straight off the circuit, locking up or missing his braking zone, and that will have been a bit scary as Iwat is out of this session, coming up to the point where Ipsdude is just coming on to turn 3 and 4, and that is Iwat probably having made contact with the wall. Yellow flags in Sector 1, everybody. And it is all clear, green flags and good to go. Ipsdude causing another yellow flag there, but that's just him going slowly, previously invalidating that lap just as it came up to the consequence of what was Iwat's crash scene. So we'll wait and see, but we're coming up on the final run of qualifying in just a little moment. Kit and Mr. Wilco, both without times this far into the session. They will be under pressure quite soon in order to make anything of this session. So then here we go. No, I believe, is on a fast lap. He's just about to come off that fast lap. If he can improve by a couple of times, he's straight up into the top 5, but he won't. Coming into the pit lane, not happy with the run, and putting emphasis on one final run. With 5 minutes to go, I would suspect track evolution could actually be into play here, in which case you'd want to go out at about 2-minute mark, probably, in order to set that time at the very, very end of this session. Could be the advantageous move. Run speed at the moment sitting in P8 and trying to improve. He's got almost 4 tenths up to Djokovic at the moment, though, and then a bit of a gap up to P5 with BT there as well. Djokovic and Noah running very close to each other. Run speed, though, invalidated the first sector, and that is that lap gone. Darren Stahl, his teammates up to P5. Can Darren pull a good qualifying result out late here in Saudi Arabia? Round 6. We're coming up on the middle stage of the season in just a couple of weeks. It's absolutely flying by. As Darren is improving by almost more than half a second coming through Sector 2, which is a result that would see him potentially into the top 10 if he can have a good final part of the lap. It's a very battery heavy track that you have to manage that throughout, which is going to separate the good from the great drivers in the league. So how's Darren's battery management been? It's been alright, but he does lose out a bit on that final straight and the final long straight going down Sector 3, and he ends up in 12th, losing a couple of times probably on that final sector alone. Kit now has a lap, but it is just marginally slower by 0.02 of a second than JV8. J sitting on a 130.839, Kit on 130.858. So it is a fraction of a second slower, but still slower indeed, and at the moment he'll be starting P15. Sam will be starting last, providing that Mr. Wilco can just set a lap, which should be his prerogative now, as Noah's on an outlap trying to deal with traffic on that outlap. It's a bit weird of a situation. Recon letting him go nicely there. Wayne's on an outlap as well with 2:40 to go, and we're still expecting the front runners to stay in for another, give it a 30 seconds before we start seeing them coming out of the pit lane. However, both the Williams boys coming out ahead of everyone else, just opting for that maybe clear track. Tess and Matty should start seeing them in just a moment. This is also going to be one of those tracks where pole position does not really matter. Overtaking is going to be a plenty around here, and the DRS chicken games are going to come into full effect. If they do in real life around the circuit, you can bet your something that they'll come into the NEF1 version of the races. Because that is basically what this season is at the moment. It is a long game of DRS chicken to decide whomever's not first at the last lap. If you're first at the last lap, your chances of winning an NEF1 Grand Prix are down significantly. Noah Van on his final lap of this session. He's sitting in P6, needs to improve by about 0.2 of a second in order to get up to BT. Then it's a bit of a gap down or up to Spenklos, Matty, and the two front runners as well. Can Matty pull a late one out here? Now, we are putting our focus on that top 7, maybe top 8 towards this last run. Mr. Wilco needs to get a time in as well. Do we have any Aston Martins coming up to the line? Not quite yet. Noah is coming up to the Sector 2 split in not too long. That is going to give us a good indicator as Squidge has just started his bid for pole position. That has got to be a lap which maybe sees yet another couple of times worth of improvement. Noah is improving, not by a massive amount, but he's putting pressure on the guys out front. And now, can he get a bit of a slipstream of the Aston Martin? No, he cannot. I suspect that is Matty as well, who's going to be very cautious to not give his former teammate a single meter worth of slipstream. Noah Van rounds the final corner, just grazing that outside wall. And is Noah now going to provide a little bit of a slipstream service to Matty coming down the line? P4 for Noah. That's a very decent lap. And Squidge is improving further. What is Tess doing? He's just started a lap. We'll keep an eye on that in just a moment. This then has got to be it for Squidge. Can he solidify his run as a high-end championship caliber driver? We'll wait and see. If he can nab pole position away from Tess here, that would certainly do a lot in order to solidify his championship hunt. Tess is improving through the first sector. Squidge, does he have the advantage to hold on? Because this lap has not been the improvement potentially that he would have needed. We'll wait and see. Tess is gonna be very cautious on this lap as well to not go a single millimeter outside those track limits. Squidge fails to improve by 14 hundredths of seconds. What is Tess going to be able to do? He is improving. Is it going to be by enough? And is he going to be able to keep it within the white lines for the last corner? Yes, he could, but now needs to have a final good corner at the place where Red Bull have dropped pole positions in the past. In real life, is Tess going to be able to get a good run coming out of there? Goes just that bit. When the brakes, and there's a McLaren stationary on the outside. Yellow flags. Oh, and that could, in real life, have hampered Tess, who sets pole position here right at the very end. Jay gets disqualified for facing the wrong way. Matty, can he put an ab on for pole position? No, he cannot. P3 for Matty Adam. No, I'm P5. BT, can he do something right at the very end here? He gets distracted by the AI of JVA, and he's going to be pissed with that. Djokovic now on a final run to maybe nab a couple of positions, and he does nab BT. That was costly for BT in the end. Wilco did put a lap in at the end as well to get up to P13. JV8 in the end there of the session disqualified for facing the wrong way. It's a very unfortunate incident that, but he did struggle throughout this qualifying session. Tess snatches pole position away from Squidge right at the end of the session then by a couple of hundredths worth of a second, but it is within a tenth of a second between the two championship runners. Tess or Squidge, who's it going to be for the Grand Prix? It's a gap down to Matty Adam, 16 behind them. of more than half a second. That is a very, very entertaining qualifying session indeed. I can tell you BT is going to be frustrated with that McLaren, almost parked on the apex of the final corner. It is an all-British front five, if you want to call it that, as well. Noah racing out of the UK with the Maltese flag. Tess takes pole position from Squidge and Matty Adams 16. Spenclose in P4, Noah in P5. They're followed by Djokovic, BT, Run Speed, Recon, and Wigan just manages a top 10. He's forced iWatts out of the top 10 as well. Then we have Darren Style, Mr. Wilco, Ipstud in 14th, Kit in 15th in his first session back. Samo, without a time, serving a penalty. JV8 disqualified right at the very end. Should be starting a bit further up, but he'll be making company with Samo on the back row of the grid. That is it then for the qualifying session for the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. Now it's going to be a couple of minutes before we get this Grand Prix started. We've had an issue this season with people running up too early. If that happens, well, then it's a very, very harsh penalty coming your way next week. So then, I'm just going to put the current championship up on display. We'll be going to a bit of a break without any commentary for a couple of minutes. When I come back, we will just be on the verge of starting the 6th round of the NEF1 Championship in Saudi Arabia. So stay tuned, because we'll be right back with you for full coverage of this race. Alright then everyone, we are back and with a new prediction in chat as well, just for a chance to have a little bit of fun, win some channel points that I have not really worked out how to operate yet, but I'm sure that is coming in the meantime. The prediction is who will lead the title race come the end of this Grand Prix. Is it going to be Squidge on 94 points? Is it going to be Tess on 96? But we are all set to go for the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. The ready up has been given and we're going to be going in 30 seconds from now. So everyone, stay tuned. This is going to be a very interesting one indeed. This is going to be a very interesting one indeed. And this is going to be a race of DRS chicken if you've ever seen one. Whomever's leading at the last lap could very well lose it heading into the final corner. That is how brutal of a circuit this is. With the DRS, with the ERS, and with everything going on. So, and the formation lap has begun and we are all set. Tess on that front row, Squidge alongside him, Matt in P3 followed by Spenclose in P4, Noah in 5th, Djokovic in 6th, Beat in 7th, Ron Speed in 8th, Rekan in 9th and Wigan in 10th. The thing speaking for Squidge in this championship battle and in this race as well is that Tess has a tendency to make mistakes every now and again. The Squidge seems to have eliminated this season minor mistakes from Squidge previously, but has been able to work through those, still finish on the podium. Tess had a trouble-filled race back in Miami with a couple of incidents that just saw him out of the major points. That is the reason now why Squidge is so close behind him in the championship. He has kept it absolutely spot on almost this season, maybe even losing a couple of points with a minor mistake here and there. But there's not been anything massive, it's not been anything detrimental to his race finishes, and that is how he can just maintain this run of podiums that he's currently on with an average finishing position of, I would expect, less than second place or higher than second place, which is absolutely incredible if you stop to think about it. Podiums every race so far this season for Squidge, the only driver to maintain that record so on. Can he complete that, or can he extend that streak here in Saudi Arabia? This is going to be a test for both Tess and Squidge. BT and Ron Speed is qualified for the formation lap. They'll be allowed to race regardless though. Matt in 3rd, Spenclose in 4th, Noah in 5th, Djokovic in 6th. Here we go, and everyone is about to line up on the formation lap, and we will be set to go in just a little bit of time for the Grand Prix of the Saudi Arabia. Let's go, everyone lining it up on the rear rows of the field as well. Jay coming out of final corner, trying to warm up those medium compound tyres. We are all set then. The Saudi Arabian Grand Prix is all good to go. Just looking at the tyre strategies, it is mixed between soft mediums and hard mediums for the most part. But here we go then. All set to go. We have 5 red lights on the top side of your screen. And it looked like everyone jumped to start. No one did. A bit out of sync there. But Tess gets away very well. So does Matty, who's on the outside of Squid, challenging him into turn 1. And he's able to nab that position of the championship contender. Squidge now in P3, and he's got to work now unless Matty can stay very, very close to Tess ahead. But he cannot be allowed to break the 1 second gap, and especially on the opening lap. It would be an absolute catastrophe. Beatty's had an awful start. He is down 10 positions into 17th. Kit has had a really, really bad start. He is out of the race already in fashion that will trigger a penalty by the look of things, which has triggered a caution in Sector 1. But unless anything comes of that, we will continue this race as scheduled. Yes, we do. Tess is in P1 then. He has a lead of 1.3 seconds already, and that is everything the Squidge did not need for this race start. Matty in P2, Squidge in P3, Spenklos in P4, Noah in P5. 3 out of top 5 remains unchanged. The only change, Matty and Squidge swapping positions. Samo has made a brilliant start of 9 positions on the opening lap alone, from last on the grid to 7th, well inside the points. Did we miss something extraordinary from his start or from his lack of qualifying here? We'll wait and see, but he's hunting down Recon at the moment. Let's see if he can try to get past. Squidge will be pressed to get past Matty quite soon as well, because Tess is getting... he's having a good time at the moment, outside of any real danger threat. And as long as that goes on, he is going to be very, very relaxed, Tess, indeed. It's not the style of racing that we're used to this season now, having those gaps up front. Tess has had him a couple of times this season. Every time he's had one, he's gone on to win the race. It is catastrophe for Squidge at the moment. He cannot stay behind Matty out of long. Looking down further, Samo Bamo now chasing down the tail of the Mercedes. Recon 21 versus Samo Bamo 25. Let's see how this all ensues. Djokovic down 2 positions on start, as well as not really having a good go at in P8 at the moment. His teammate down 2 positions as well, so it's been a poor start for Alpine. Darren up a position, Iwatts up a position, Ron Speed down 1. But just looking at it, Beat is the big loser of the start. Samo is the big winner of this start. JV8 in 15th, up 2 positions. That must mainly be because of Kit and Beatty, so he stayed put relative to where he started, if you're looking at everything combined. Run speed, 3 second time penalty for multiple track limit warnings. I can tell you that that will not be the last one of those we get around this place that pushes track limits to the very edge. Here goes Djokovic on Samo Bamo down the inside, heading into the braking zone of the last corner. He gets that move done, and now he's going to be pressed to get past the Mercedes of Recon as well. Trying to get that move done over the course of this next lap. Squidge has been able to clear Matty as well, should be mentioned. Matty now getting very close to the bumper of Squidge to make very, very slight contact coming out of turn 2. But Squidge crucially ahead now, but the gap is 1.8 seconds up ahead. And that's going to be very, very close for Squidge to bring in, unless he has better race pace than Tess. We'll notice that in a couple of laps time. Matty now, what does he go for? Does he try battling this with Squidge already, or does he hope that just following Squidge is going to bring him into a battle for the race lead later on? At the moment, Tess is maintaining that gap, but it's only been a sector. We'll have to look at this long term, as Djokovic is now right on the chuff of Recon, and could he potentially think about something a bit naughty before the braking zone? No, he can't, and it'll be done with DRS potentially heading into the next chicane. If Djokovic fancies a move like that, he might not have a choice really, because the DRS advantage here is massive, as you can see. Djokovic powers past Recon in, well, probably the most unfortunate place, because he'll be left for stranded without DRS now on this straight, and that is going to lose him 1 position to Recon, could lose him another position to Samo, unless Recon decides he doesn't want a piece of it. Samo strategically hanging back Ron Speed, capitalizing on that. Nice little move down the inside of that for Ron Speed. Just chucking it down the inside when Samo, for some reason, just goes a bit too deep into the corner. Probably trying to avoid Recon and Djokovic's potential little battle there. Leaves the door wide open for Ron Speed, and Ron Speed's always going to take advantage of that. Says, thank you very much. Bit of an error from Samo Bamo, and Ron Speed is up into P8 with a time penalty, mind you. And Matty is back up at P2 past Squidge as well. 1.4 seconds now the gap to Tessa. They have brought it in a little bit, potentially with the aid of DRS. I can't quite tell you further on that. This little battle could be huge for the championship as well. Iwatts scoring 1 point for Red Bull, need to score a couple of more for their championship battle, because right now Williams scoring consistent points, and they're the only team doing so with 2 cars this season at the moment. Squidge and Spenklos, that is how close this league is right now with that top 10. Squidge and Spenklos both inside a top 5, which is going to give them a big points advantage on everyone else. Right now, not a massive advantage though, as Squidge is scoring 15 points, Spenklos scoring 10 with that, and they are equaling Tess's points. So Red Bull's actually outscoring Williams at the moment. Just doing the maths really quick. Here we go then. Squidge on Matty. Completely disinterested in pulling a move on the final corner because he probably fancies a move into the first corner of lap 5. Wait and see, but that's when you start eating up the advantage. Deploy your battery and straight past. Matty's not going to bother fighting that one. It's no point whatsoever, and these two fighting are just going to allow Tess to break out an advantage ahead. Matty could make this even worse potentially, trying to fight in Sector 1, but just backs out of it. We've had a problem for run speed coming out of turn 1. Yellow flags, and that is him down to P12. What happened there? Absolutely no clue. Djokovic now getting a bit loose through Sector 1. That is going to allow Recon to be all over the back of the Alpine. And this is turning into a nice little race so far. We're a fifth of the way through, and stuff's going on everywhere. Now we have Darren Style battling all the way with iWatts for a P9 at the moment. So Darren inside the points along with iWatts, trying to double his points now by going up to P9. That might just actually allow him to lose another place to Wigan, just touching the wall ever so slightly there, which is going to put Wigan straight on the scene for Darren Style. Darren, though, straight down inside of iWatts, heading into the final braking zone of the circuit. Goes deep. iWatts going to capitalize on that with the DRS on the next straight, and probably power his way back through strategic racing this from iWatts. iWatts, which that English just won for the first time this week. Strategic racing from iWatts, which he is very, very good at. A little bit deep into the first and second corner, manages nicely, and straight back in P9 after losing that position momentarily to Darren Style from a forced move maybe into the last corner. Matty's now past Squidge again, 2.6 seconds out front now. Tess has checked out. Unless anything happens, we might be looking at a race that's decided relatively early because that advantage is going to be difficult to bring in unless something happens. Chance of a safety car around here though is relatively high, keep that in mind. Squidge 3 attempts back on Matty, and that's a battle that's going to be going on for the majority of this race, it feels like. Tess needed Matty to do something on the start, and he absolutely did. Squidge would have had just that bit of a better getaway to be able to cut Matty off right at the very start there and stick with Tess. Didn't happen, and by the time we got to lap 1, and that is a problem for Darren Style, who just drops it. Coming in, that is a virtual safety car, and now let's see how that shakes up the strategy. Debris out on the circuit. Does anyone go into the pit lane? Tess does not. Matty does not. Squidge, does he do something different? No, he doesn't. No one's doing anything different. We're quite quickly into the race. Djokovic decides to go for it. Can't get a penalty as you come across the line, and doesn't. Samo goes for it as well. He's on soft tires, so he's almost obliged to. That would explain how he was able to get such a good start as well. Virtual safety car is always a risk because you don't know how long it is going to last. This one's lasting relatively long by the look of things, and we do have 4 cars in the pit lane at the same time, 5 cars even. So that is a good strategic move probably that from Djokovic. Saved him quite a bit of time, and now on a set of hard tyres that's going to last him to the end of the Grand Prix. Couple of drivers virtual with drive-through penalties there, including one Samo Bamo by the look of things. Now we've got to have a look at that because that was quite a couple of people that got caught out there. JV8 is out of this race after an incident coming out of turn 4. It's not the first incident we've seen there, but it does not trigger a safety car. Now I want to have a look at the penalty tab. We have drive-through penalties for Recon, and Samo Bamo. So that is disastrous for them. We're going to lose them quite a bit of time, which only allows Djokovic to have an even better time now with having his mandatory pit stop out of the way. Should Squidge maybe have tried something and bolt on a set of hard tyres to the end? He would have had a gap up front that was quite substantial if he did so, unless we have another virtual safety car, which I think these guys are banking on. You can't really expect it. If I was Matty, for example, without really anything to lose, he's running in a good position now, but he's still hunting his first really, really good result of the season. A win. It's just basically a very, very good result for Matty. He's got that podium now. Matty's chasing his first win of the season. Should he maybe have tried something during that virtual safety car in order to try to get ahead? Well, we'll never know how it would have gone, but it would have been interesting to see nonetheless. As Djokovic now on the hard tyres trying to chase down Ipsdude. Lap 8 out of 25. Oh, is it going to be a struggle getting those hard tyres to the end is another thing I'm just a bit curious about. Samuel's now serving his drive-through penalty. Recon has served his as well. So Recon, almost a bit of damage limitations. Not made his pit stop yet, which is... it's going to send him right to the very back of the field, this Recon. Not having served his pit stop and P9. I thought he did serve his pit stop already, which is why I thought, okay, it's not in too bad of a position, but it's not looking very, very good for him at the moment. Ron Speed recovered quite well for a man who found himself facing the wrong way early on. He's currently sitting in P6, having not made his pit stop yet, but he's in a good position. He's in a good position indeed. Spenclose round the back of Noah. Squidge has Matty for company still, and that little battle's not going away. See who out of these two triggers the pit stop first. And they're just going to keep swapping positions. I believe that they have completely dropped Tess out of their mind at the moment right now, and are just focusing on each other and that second place, which for Squidge is ever so important as to not fall too far behind in the championship now. It is a very, very long season though. It's a very long season to go. Couple of hundreds points left for grabs. Nothing is decided yet. Iwat on his hard tyres, just looking a bit out of shape maybe coming out of that, coming out of the first turn. Rebounds quite nicely into the first sector in the sweeping, the very, very fast sweeping bits, which is very, very difficult on a pad, I could imagine. I've never even tried this track on a pad, I wouldn't dare. But Iwat should be commended for giving it a very solid effort. This is a wheel track like none other one, I would assume. No curbs that put controller plays as an advantage, and only sweeping long fast corners. No 90-degree left or right-handers, no slow turns whatsoever. It's going to be a difficult one for every single pad user this. Djokovic is round the very back of Ron Speed. He's a full pit stop ahead of the Haas driver though. He's going to try to force his way around the outside heading into the final corner. He does so quite comfortably. Ron Speed is now full pit stop behind Djokovic. How hard is he going to fight this one and slow himself down? Or should he just try to follow what could be de facto race leader around the circuit? He's not far behind. And those hard tyres seem to be working rather well for Djokovic right now. This is something that very well could propel him right into the podium battle, if not more. Tess cannot afford to get caught up in a battle with Djokovic at the moment. A Djokovic that is eating up time on the opposition right now. Let's see what's going on for Recon then. He gets a free second time penalty as soon as I go on to him. That's a commentator's curse if I've ever seen one. Splendid timing. As he's heading into the sweeping left-hander just behind Ipsdude, who's running inside the points for the time being. Pit stop is yet to be made though, and that's going to shake things up a little bit as we enter about the midway stage of this Grand Prix. Lap 10 out of 25. So we're well past the third into this race now, but still a couple of laps to go before we reach the halfway mark. Noah's just been into the pit lane. He's come out a couple of seconds behind Djokovic for reference. Everyone's got to be wary. Both the Williams are now heading into the pit lane. No, sorry, Squidge and Matty heading into the pit lane. I thought it was Spenclose as well, but no. Squidge heading into the pit lane needs to have a good pit stop, so does Matty. And the two come out positions unchanged. And now, Djokovic, where is he going to come out in relations to those two ahead? Is the answer to that question. Djokovic's undercut both the other podium sitters, but he's nowhere close to Tess looking at those gaps. But that's going to be another problem for Squidge and Matty now, because Djokovic's tyre is not going to be too old. He has now brought himself right into that battle. Squidge and Matty made a big mistake not pitting under the virtual safety car when they were given the opportunity by Tess. I understand why Tess couldn't, unless with the chance of another safety car later on. But for a driver like Matty with really nothing to lose in terms of a championship battle right now, he should have gone for an opportunity like that. As for Squidge, also got to protect the championship, but got to be a bit bold in certain situations as well, and that is a golden opportunity. That's lost or not, it all depends on the rest of the outcome of this race. In 5 laps, it might have been a very, very bad move for Djokovic to come in under the virtual safety car. We'll never know that. But he has propelled himself into P3 now, and that is to be commended. He's brought himself right into the equation for a very, very strong race result, and it's now all up to him. So that's a good effort from Djokovic. Good strategy call is brought him into play. Spenclose now, what is he going to do? Is he just going to go long maybe on the stint? He started on the hard tyres, so he's going to be able to go for quite a bit. Squidge past Djokovic now. That's crucial for Squidge. If he can now put Djokovic at a bit of a distance, he might be able to shake Matty here if Djokovic has a bit of a shaky first sector. But of course, the odds that Djokovic is going to have that shaky of a first sector whilst being the reigning champion is relatively low. And it is not going to happen, still within that second worth of distance. And Matty's going to be a sigh of relief to that fact, I'm very, very sure. Tess is still gapping Spenclose, whilst on a worn set of medium tyres versus a set of hard tyres. They should be in significantly better shape. It's just pulling a tester, but we know that Tess is quicker than Spenclose around this circuit. But his tyres should be very, very poor at this stage. What I'm curious about is Tess just going to stay out for even longer and maybe try something really bold on strategy, so I've just got to reset my microphone real quick. As there we go, I can confirm, just as I said that as well, Tess is coming into the pit lane for a set of hard tyres. Where is he going to come out in relations to the race leaders, Squidge and Djokovic? Is he going to come out ahead? It's going to be very, very close between them, actually. I believe Squidge might just... No, Tess is going to come out ahead by another 2-3 seconds, probably. 2 seconds. There or thereabouts. So it came in at the very right time. Another lap or two might have put himself at risk. Matty's now been able to get rid of Djokovic heading into turn 1 as well, but the gap to Squidge has grown ever so slightly. Squidge now is going to be inclined to push hard to get rid of Matty, who's just on that 1 second gap at the moment. The thing with Matty's pace, we don't know if he's outside that 1 second gap. Would he lose a significant amount of time? I believe he might, looking at these cornering times. We'll wait and see. Now outside 1 second. Did he get the DRS open? No, is the answer to that question. Still gaining. You can just see from the slipstream alone, over a second behind, and he's still gaining tenths on a relatively small straight. It's absolutely insane how that works on this game. Now as it actually... he's gotten DRS back just through the slipstream effect alone. It is... I'm not going to say impossible because it isn't, but it is damn near impossible shaking someone around this Jeddah Corniche circuit. It is so incredibly difficult building that advantage over the course of a lap. As Watts is getting a bit spicy on Ipsk Dude, and he's going to try something down the inside. Has to adjust coming out of the corner as Ipsk Dude Besides, he doesn't really want to be dragged into that battle. Did Ipstone maybe want to go into the pit lane there? It almost looked like for a brief moment, but I was decided he was going to send it down the inside there, which he's very, very entitled to do. Ipstone then down in P8, 13 lap all the hard tires. Time to get rid of them, if nothing else. And Iwat's running a very, very handy little race up in P7 at the moment. He's on there on merit, and he's got a gap down to Wigan, who is de facto P8. Samo did not help himself with that drive-through penalty. He could very well be up there in 7th unless he had that penalty. And it would be significantly closer as well to no unsafe. It wouldn't be quite there, but what is the pace of Samo Bamo? It's a bit of an interesting one as well. Spanklos is staying out. How long is he gonna stay out? Well, the answer to that question is not long. Coming in on lap 14 out of 25 to get rid of those hard tires. Squidge has gotten himself slightly closer, 2.1 seconds now, but not really close in the end. Let's see, fastest lap at the moment belongs to Test. That could very well change come the end of the race when people start pitting for soft tires, just for that bonus point in the end as well. Spanklos now on a set of medium tires. Should he maybe just have gone a couple of laps longer and gone really aggressive on a set of softs? I still very much involved in battle for the podium, and now with a better set of tires as well, he's got a bit of ground to make up, but it's not substantial. Spanklos is in the run for a podium here, and if he could offset Matty, that would be a brilliant aid to his teammate. Dominic is saying Tess has elite pace, which is, yeah, I'm just gonna be inclined to agree. It's absolutely mental, the pace that this man has every now and again when he decides to be properly on it, which is basically every week, I should say. It is one of the most consistent drivers pace-wise. We've had him for a full season now, basically. Pace-wise, it is one of the most consistent drivers we have ever had in NEF1 so far. He does not finish off a podium. He just doesn't. Every now and again, yeah, if he has a normal race, it is at least a P2 finish, most likely a win. That is how good Tess is, and with a win here, definitely puts himself in the driver's seat for his first NEF1 title. Matty Adam on Squidge 2017 now. Into the first corner, Squidge isn't going to find it. It's procession overtakes for the time being. Samo Bamos trying to line up Iwatts now. Iwatts left with no defense really when Samo makes this move, and I believe he realizes that as well. Samo closing up to the scene rapidly and is going to take that position away from him heading into turn 1. Again, not much of a defense from Iwatts. Knows what battles to pick and what to just avoid. Samo, Iwatts is there on the exit, but Samo just gets away a slight bit. 9 lap old hard tires though, are those gonna last another almost 10 laps? Same goes for Djokovic as well. Will they be, well, almost forced to pit again? Wait and see. Spanklos is doing a job at the moment on his mediums, but he has that 3-second time penalty to work with, mind you. Looking down further, we have Mr. Wilco chasing down Run Speed for the final points paying positions. He's on 15 lap all hard tires, haven't pitted yet. So Run Speed is, well, there's no really kind way to describe this. He is plumb last, along with potentially a B-tier pit very early on. If he can get it to the end, I'd be surprised. But expect most of these people to slap a set of softs on at the very end, go for the fastest lap and try to salvage something. Spanklos, fastest lap at the Grand Prix so far, takes a point away from Tess. 1:30.742 is the time to beat for everyone else. That is beatable instead of soft tires towards the end. We'll see who goes for it. Spanklos setting the fastest lap then on a set of medium boots here around the Jeddah Corniche, and he is closing in on the top 4 and in verge a podium with that pace as well. this strategy the Spenclose on is that maybe something Squidge or Matty should have tried. Maybe Tess as well. He likes those types of strategies. Just starting on something a bit different and having that extra pace at the end. Spenclose is making it work right now, but he needs to be closing up on Djokovic a bit quicker maybe than he is, and needs to be shaking Noah as well, preferably. We'll see if Noah decides to really do anything about that fight, as we have a Sauber going slowly. That is Darren's style. Yellow flags through Sector 1. His teammates coming up to the scene, but is not going to affect him. So Sauber's having a difficult time then in 13th and 14th this race. Mr. Wilco out of the pits, set us off tyres. We can expect to push for fastest lap for come a lap or two. As we've seen this overtake a couple of times into turn 1, and it's not going to be any more exciting this time around than it was last time around, or the time before that, or the time before that, or even the time before that, mind you, because Matty's been able to just get past with a DRS overtake on Squidge 2017. Would you believe it? It's a really boring DRS overtake in a DRS zone on F1 24. Would you believe? Oh, look, there's another one. Now, let's not be like that. Let's not be overly salty that the Codemasters decided to massively overpower DRS yet again. And with this ERS system, it is made even worse. Iwas then is battling away with Sam Obama for P7. That is some good points for P7 for both these Drivers' Championships. Samo got his... oh, that's harsh. 10-second time penalty. Darren Styles speeding in the pit lane. Not the first time this season he's gotten that penalty. Needs to just calm it down, because that has taken any chance of points away for him. Or any chance of a good result. The chance for points was probably quite gone to begin with. So then, the chance for points is, well, technically still there with a fast lap attempt. We'll see how that goes. As it's a train behind Matty, Squidge, Djokovic. Spenclose is not showing up on the scene with those medium tyres, not able to make them work. The question is, when are the hard tyres of Djokovic going to fall off? Because they will fall off at some point before the end of the race. We saw Tess bring his 13 or 14 laps into the race, and you would suspect that is quite late on. How much is Djokovic going to struggle come the end of this race? If he can maintain that P4, that'd be a hell of a drive from him. Let's just see where he started. Started in P6. He's had a he's had a quietly good race, Djokovic, all because of a good strategy call that I'm betting that Squidge and Matty regrets they didn't take right now, as the chance of a safety car is decreasing by the corner. Noah now just outside the 1 second gap, and Spenclose inside a second gap to Djokovic, and that has turned his race around. Now, let's see if he can pull himself into the conversation. Djokovic's tyres, I believe I can just start smelling the burnt rubber on that Alpine. If they now are going off, Spenclose needs to clear him quickly in order to maintain a healthy advantage or a healthy gap to Squidge and Matty in front. Spenclose could prove pivotal in this little battle, even with his 3 second time penalty. If he can get in front of Matty Adam and hold him up. Fastest lap for Spenclose. He is giving it his absolute everything right now. But he needs to get within that DRS and be able to stay there, as he just has a bit of a snap of oversteer coming out of turn 2. Run speed at the moment, inside the top 10, scoring another point for Haas this season, but 12 seconds worth of penalties is going to make scoring points this week incredibly difficult for him. Recon at the moment then, within the points paying positions, P10. Such is the weight then of keeping it penalty free. If you can't do that at a circuit like this, well, then you are going to lose positions indeed. And just look at that, for example. If Tess was to cross the white lines a couple of times now, 3-second time penalty, I do not believe he's getting that 3-second advantage on Squidge or Matty. I don't know how easy Tess is taking it. It doesn't appear like he's pushed too hard this race as Matty and Squidge goes at it with a DRS overtake yet again. It's an exciting battle, well, prospect-wise this. Looking at it, we just assume that they are going to overtake each other, which is a bit of a shame. But it's going to be exciting the last couple of times they do this to see the DRS checking games really come into play. Because you can overtake each other coming out of the final corner here. And before you get to the line, it's a bit of a Baku effect. Spenclose has been able to get past Djokovic now. 2 seconds up to Matty Adam with penalty as well. So Spenclose with that penalty is not doing this for position probably. Unless he can clear Djokovic, which with his worn tyres is actually not an impossibility. He's cleared Noah almost. Yellow flag in sector 3 is Rican, who's had an issue coming around the final corner. That is a pain for the Mercedes driver, and is that going to trigger something further? We have debris on the inside of the final turn, so everyone stay cautious. Rican having to come into the pit lane then, but he's going to be able to salvage something potentially anyways with a go at the fastest lap. Rican then, unfortunately, spinning coming out of the final turn on lap 20. Is this when the charge for Spenclose maybe took a drop? 6-lap-old mediums is not going to be as effective on 10-lap-old hards as you would expect. See if Djokovic can. Djokovic's just going to be focused on maintaining the 3-second gap now. Spenclose is going to want to do everything to clear, and at least clear Noah's going to be his goal to get himself a top 5, which would be a very, very good result for Williams and himself. Djokovic is going to be doing everything he can to finish top 4, but those hard tyres are going to be screaming out for help now these last couple of laps, and he's got to be careful through the high-speed corners to not even make a mistake, to just not have the tyres in the car drop on him through a corner like this left-hander, for example. It's going to be so smooth with his inputs, feel the level of grip room through every corner, but you can just see, yeah, the car just wanted to go, going through that very, very slight left-hander. You can just see, through a sector like that, how Spenclose pulls a gap from about 0.5 of a second to over a second. The saving grace for Djokovic is that the first sector is the only one that really is detrimental when you have bad tyres, and corners like this as well. He's losing time, those hard tyres are gone. Djokovic now just has to keep it on the track and not lose too much time on Spenclose. If he drops time like this though, Spenclose is going to finish P4. He is now losing a significant amount every single corner. Spenclose can start sniffing that top 4. And speaking about starting to sniff certain results, Tess has a scent of that win now. 3 laps to go with a 2-second advantage over the remaining podium sitters. Squidge and Matty keep trading positions with each other. Could they maybe have salvaged something? I would have been very curious to see what the actual race pace of Squidge would have been had he not been caught up in a battle with Matty. They have been trading positions every single lap throughout this 25-lap Grand Prix almost. I would have been so curious to see if they could have actually closed the gap a little on Tess. The gap has been slightly closed in that first sector now. Would have been so fun to see what would have happened if we allowed Tess and Squidge to battle the way for the lead of the championship. Tess, for the time being, is going to maintain a small advantage on top, but that is going to increase now by 7 points unless something drastic happens over the next 2.5 laps. Matty has battled valiantly, and the battle for P2 is well and truly still on. A man that has a brilliant track record around this track. He has one bad result here to no fault of his own. Unfortunately, it cost him a championship. The man has a chip on his shoulder, something to prove. He does not want another bad result here in Saudi Arabia. He would not finish off the podium if he can take a P2 away from Squidge, who has established himself as a top driver in NEF1 this season as well. Then I'm very sure he'd be happy with that result. Keep in mind, these two drivers interact with each other very frequently as well. Both admins of New Era, they know each other, they race each other, they banter with each other. Now it is gonna get intense. We have 2 laps to go to decide whomever finishes P2 and P3 here at Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. Sven Close is not far away from being able to shake Djokovic for 4th place. 2.5 seconds the gap with 2 laps to go, and I think he's gonna be able to pull that gap out. Wiggins getting past Iwatts up to P8, Iwatts in P9 with old hard tyres. So does everyone down here. Samo, Wiggin and Iwatts, all with that old tyre, along with Djokovic. He beat these tyres, is going to be screaming out for mercy at this point. Who's got the fastest lap for the time being? Still Sven Close. And the window to pit has now closed. So unless Recon can potentially deliver something on his fresh softs, another point to Williams. 2.8 seconds gap between Djokovic and Sven Close now. It looks like Sven Close might have that in the bag. But then we have a couple of corners to go, or a couple of laps to go. 28 corners, if I'm doing my maths correctly, left in this Grand Prix. Now 27 for the leaders. Matty Adam, Squidge 2017, last go at it. Let's go. Tess is leading this race by almost 3 seconds now. We can almost lock him in for the Grand Prix win here, but it's not the thing we're going to be looking at or focusing at for a majority of this lap, because this is going to be interesting. Squidge or Matty, who is going to come out on top? Both of these drivers, you can just see them. They've been preparing for this now. As that's a problem for Noah coming out of the first turn. Is it going to cost him a position? No, because Samo is significantly down. It's a costful mistake from Noah, or it could have been a costful mistake. Sven Close has now arrived on the scene as well and has shaken Djokovic. 3-second time penalty for Djokovic now as well. That has locked Sven Close in for a 4th place. It's a brilliant drive from the Williams driver, and it's going to be a good result for Williams either way. How good of a result is it going to be? Squidge pressured for the championship battle to get past Matty here on this final lap, and he's going to give it absolutely everything. You need to overtake at the right time. It's the right time past the final corner or heading into the final corner. Where would you rather defend? Here we go. This is going to be interesting. Tess is going to come round that final corner to take this Grand Prix win. I'm sorry, we're not going to be able to look at that. This is where it's going down. The final corner. Matty has the inside, Squidge on the outside. Squidge is going to have the DRS maybe on the final straight. No, Matty is, and he's going to be taking P2 right at the very end. No DRS comes into play. Matty takes P2. Tess takes the win to Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. Squidge finishes 1/10 of a second behind Matty in 3rd. Sven Close finishes a brilliant 4th place after a valiant drive on his mediums. That's a recovery and a half. Not a recovery, but it's a very, very good last stint. Djokovic on that hard tyre, 19 laps worth of a stint. It is incredibly hard to pull a stint off like that, but he pulled himself back into it. Should be commended after being left behind a little bit on that first stint. Got himself right back into the proceedings. Noah in P6, he's followed by Samo in 7th, Wiggin in 8th, Iwatts in 9th. Couple of valuable points there for Red Bull in the Constructors. Run Speed is going to pick up a point in 10th, even with those penalties that he had. With ABT finishing a solid 11th, just outside the points. However, it is all that he is going to care about. It's a decent result, but it's not good enough. Ipsdude in 12th for one of his best finishes in NEF1 to date, but still a ways to go before those points will find their way onto the board. We'll have a look at the remaining standings just as they get brought up to us. That is a brilliant race-long battle between Matty and Squidge that has kind of taken the edge a little bit away from this man. Tesvan, yet another win this season, his 3rd in total if I'm not mistaken. No consecutive wins yet, but he'll have the chance next week out to battle away for it, I'm very, very sure. But then, Tess establishes a significant lead now in the Drivers' Championship of 12 points over Squidge heading into next week. So that is going to be incredibly interesting to watch. Here we go then, looking down further behind Ipsdude, we have Recon in 13th after a sad incident really that took him out of points. Mr. Wilco in 14th, Darren in 15th, Jay and Kit failing to finish this race. Kit retiring on a very fast lap in first sector, I believe even. Spenclose with the fastest lap as well, 13 points to Squidge's 15, which tells a different tale. Samo up from 16th to 7th. What could he have done if he had qualified? We'll unfortunately never know, but Samo is on an upswing this season, it must be said. Well then, that has been it for this round of the NEF1 Championship. Round 6 has concluded here in Saudi Arabia. Congratulations to Tess once again for a brilliant drive and now a significant lead in the Drivers' Championship. It is going to be really interesting to see what happens next. Next week then, we are heading to China for round 7 on February the 17th, if I'm not mistaken, for the Chinese Grand Prix around the Shanghai International Circuit. Don't miss out on that one. Should be a brilliant one for racing, if nothing else. So stay tuned for it. We'll be back in 7 days' time with full coverage of the Chinese Grand Prix in NEF1. Congratulations to Tess, Matty, and Squidge as per usual. Brilliant race from you three lads. We'll see you in 7 days. Until then, have a good one, stay safe, and peace out.